Hey guys, Brent Hull, Wednesday design video, talking today about a porch, an historic porch in Illinois on an Italianate house and the subtle differences that make it go from good to great. Come join me. Okay, so we're looking at this porch, and this was a hard one for me because I kept looking at it going, what is wrong? What is wrong, right? And so I don't like these this little railing. I don't like the way they did these columns. I don't think this handrail above is necessary, but was that enough to fix it, right? And so we're looking at this house, and I want to point out kind of the main element, and the reason why my fix works, I believe, is because if you compare this bay window, okay, to this door, okay? If I just show you this, like you look at that and go, oh yeah, it's elegant, it's nice, it's pretty. You've got there's windows that stop here, a panel above, then another panel that's bracketed. And so you're like, yeah, no, that's nice. And when you go over to the door, you go, it isn't quite there, right? So what isn't quite there? What's missing? And so it really comes down to a breaking down of the parts. And so I did this close-up view because I wanted you to be able to see the columns back here versus the ones that I'm proposing. And the client sent me some kind of typical porches in her neighborhood, and I stole one of those porch columns to kind of, elevate and improve this. And really what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to improve this area here. I'm going to try to elevate, lift, because this is really lifted up. I mean, that's from the bottom of that window to that eave is 3 feet. And if you look at the bottom, the column to here, it's maybe 16 inches. And so I want it to be more like 18, 22, something like that. So how do I do that? Basically, I'm going to take the parts and pieces in here and improve them. Now, one of them is the column, and I'll show you why this column capital doesn't work here in my mind and works here. We're going to improve the quality of this bracket. We're going to lift it up. We're going to get rid of this. And then I don't think we need a railing on this house. And you see that I've taken the railing out here, but there's no one going to walk out onto there. The only reason you would put a railing on this porch is to lift your eye visually and to create enough attention over there that you know that that's the way to go. What happened on this house is the front door was around the other side of the house. And so this was added later. And so it looks to me like it was done, 15 years ago because of the way the materials and everything, all those balusters, these porch columns, all of those different things look like they're straight from a lumberyard. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Essentially, to make this column, okay, what that other carpenter did, okay, so they've made their pilaster with, 1x and they got a panel mold in here. They added a 3/4 inch board here, okay, that goes on the outside, and then they've taken a crown, like an 80/16 crown, and put it on top of it, and then they put a plate on top of that, like a 3/4 inch board. And so what happens is it ends up flaring really wide. So if you look at how wide it goes from this edge out to there, I mean it's flaring 3 inches or more. This capital, which is something we've copied from the historic precedent in the area, has the same thing. We still have the panelized pilaster, okay, but instead what they do is they do a little molding here, okay, that's kind of a little S molding. They put the abacus on top, okay, and then there's just a small molding at the top, okay. This projection and flares is maybe an inch, okay, right there versus almost 3 inches there. So this wide flange that you see it kicking out here ends up looking goofy. It's basically the craftsman or the carpenter says, yeah, I can kind of do that, and he goes to the lumberyard, he picks up out a bunch of moldings, and he goes and tries to make this capital, okay? Look, I applaud that effort. I think that's good. I think that's what carpenters should do. But I would rather him go and try to copy the abacus better, because if we look at the historic precedent, okay, this is from the AIA, and we're looking at this little detail right there. That's the capital of our column. Okay, you notice that there is a flat spot here, okay, a little turnout at the top of the abacus, which is what this one's doing. And then it goes down to a molding and then and then your neck, okay? What happens here is it just flares out too much. So we really want to look at historic precedent and look at ways of doing it so that it copies the past better, okay? So, right, I'm digging into a really small detail, but when I look at this and go, yeah, what's wrong? I don't like it. And then I look at this and I go, oh yeah, there's a subtle small difference happening here that improves it. Now, you do this times 5 or 6 details and all of a sudden it's a lot better. So now I'll walk you through what I did, right? Code is 3-foot railing on a porch, okay? But if your porch is less than 24 or 18 inches off the ground, you don't need a 3-foot railing. And this porch is so small that all the movement and all the stuff going on in this porch makes it look busy, and especially looks busy right there. We don't need this here, and so me lifting up this roof, this element right there, builds up and lifts up, okay? So now my separation between this copies the front better. I've taken the 5-panel door and made it a Victorian door. So this little archtop pattern is very popular in the Victorian era. And then I put a hood over top of the door. There was no hood before, okay? That hood elevates this door. That gives it prominence, it gives it importance. And so, by fixing the pilaster capital, okay, by putting in a prettier, bolder, stronger bracket, by lowering, okay, you can see where the other railing is. I've lowered it down almost a foot, maybe 12 or 14 inches. I've done this little sweep in here, right on either side. So it basically invites you, your arms are kind of opening up, inviting you into this area. The hood over top of it. Now we've taken it back to a entry that is more appropriate for a Victorian house, a Victorian Italianate house, 1870s, 1880s, and we've taken away kind of the builder grade things. We're looking at the past, we're looking at this piece here and going, what are those elements, what are those proportions, what are those details that improve this, make it look better than this, because this looks squished, all right? And so I'm fixing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 details, right? 6 little 5% here, 4%, 8%, and it does improve and does make this entry and porch more appropriate to the house, more historically accurate, more architecturally correct. So that's how we kind of fix this, where very subtly it kind of looks, not sure what's wrong, but you start fixing a few of those things and it really does improve. Okay guys, what do you think? Does that help it? Does that make sense? All of those little details, architecturally correct, historically accurate, makes a big difference. I'm Brent Hull, thanks for watching.